Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ray Fay and welcome back to the channel. I went to go buy a mattress the other day and the sales guy asked, "Would you like a spring mattress?" I said, "No, I want one I can use all year." Today we're taking a look at Ticket to Ride Berlin, the 2 to 4 player game by Days of Wonder. In Ticket to Ride Berlin, 2 to 4 players are going to compete trying to get as many streetcars out on the board and subways as well, trying to score points, completing destinations, and just trying to get those routes set up. And whoever can score the most points is going to win. But how does it play? Now, Ticket to Ride Berlin plays like pretty much every other Ticket to Ride game out there. All right, you have basically 3 things you're going to do on your turn. You can draw transportation cards. There's going to be a row of 5 face-up cards and a deck of face-down cards. One of those is going to be wild. Well, one of the types of cards is going to be wild. Now, you can either draw one of the face-up cards, and you're going to get 2 cards, or you can draw one of the face-down cards. If the face-up card you take is a wild card, and it's the first card you draw, you cannot draw any more wild cards that turn. That being said, if you select a card for your first one, you cannot select a wild card for your second card. All right, so you can never get more than 2 wild cards in a turn unless you draw blind, and your first draw from a face-up deck has to be a wild card if you want one. That all makes sense? It should. It's pretty simple. The next thing you're going to be able to do is you can actually draw more destination tickets. Now, destination tickets, you're going to start off the game with 1 or 2 of them, all right? And you're going to need to get more of those as the game progresses because that's how you're going to score those in-game victory points. So if you draw destination tickets, what you're going to do is you're going to draw 2 of them. You're going to look at them. You have to keep at least 1 of them. You can keep both. If you want to get rid of one, you just put it back in the deck on the bottom, or you put it in discard pile and you'll shuffle the discard pile later, okay, if you need more. Now, those destination tickets you got to be careful of because if you don't complete a destination, then that's negative victory points you're going to get at the end of the game. So you want to make sure you can complete the ones that you get. The last thing you can do is you can actually put routes down on the table. Now, you do that by looking at the board, and you're going to have, between locations, you're going to have different colors, and you're going to have different number of cars that are going to go between them. However many colors are between them, or streetcar spaces there are between them, that's how many cards you have to play of that color. Remember, you can substitute wild cards to be able to lay that route. So if it's a, say, 2 route, blue, you would discard 2 blue cards, and you would put your 2 subway cars down, or streetcars down. Now, you have a subway that goes around the outer end of the board. Now, on the subway pieces, you're going to see some little dots right above them, or little tiny rectangles above them. That's how many cards you have to play of the certain color in order to be able to put your subway car down, okay? And only the subway car is going to go there, and you're only going to put 1 down. So you can actually complete several subways during the game, all right? Now, whether you're putting down your streetcars or whether you're putting down a subway, as soon as you get done putting those down, then you're going to score points based on how long that route is, and you're just going to move your score marker along the score track. So everyone can see how you're doing during the game by putting your track down. They're just not going to see how you're doing with your destination tickets. And that's basically it. You're just going to keep going around and around and around until one person only has 2 or less streetcars and subways left in their hand. Once that's the case, then everyone's going to get 1 more turn and the game's going to end. You flip over all your destination tickets. You add up all your points. Take any negatives for the destinations you don't complete. Whoever has the most points wins. Okay, so that was just a pretty high-level overview of how the game plays. But for the most part, that's how the game plays. It's a really simple game to play. You're trying to get the destination tickets in your hand to try to get as many routes as close together as you can. I mean, because if you can, have just a small little section where you have a lot of your routes, then you don't have to build as many trains, you're going to get a lot more points like that. Now, the shorter routes are going to give you the less number of points. The longer routes are going to give you more points. So you have to be careful on how you do that. You kind of got to get some of those long ones. But you got to pay attention to the subways on the outside, because if you have those long routes, you're probably going to need some of those subways in order to really take advantage and get across the board fast. Because remember, all you have to do is create a connection between the 2 points. If you can draw a line from one of your tracks, whether it goes across trains or subways to the location, it's completed and you're good to go. Now, later in the game, the nice thing about getting the destination tickets is you may already have a route already completed. You may have those 2 points done, so that's just free points. So at the end of the game, it's really good to get those destination tickets. All right. Now, the one thing you want to pay attention to this game too is, if you notice someone, they kind of maybe they're building some track off to the side, they're kind of doing something, they might be going to an area that you think you might want to go to. You might want to build up there. Because remember, with this game, you don't have to necessarily build off of your current trains. You can build anywhere you want. So if you have locations that you need to connect, then you need to make sure you can get your train or your streetcars in there. Because if they're all blocked off, but you need to get in there and you got a destination ticket for it and you can't, negative victory points. Okay, so you got to be paying attention to that. All right, but there you go. I mean, that's Ticket to Ride. I think by now a lot of people have played Ticket to Ride. They may not have played all the individual little ones or big boxes, but for the most part, most people have played Ticket to Ride and have a general idea of how they play for the most part. Okay, now what do I think of Berlin? All right, now Berlin's one of the small box games, and I got mixed feelings on the small box games. I like them. I don't love them, but I don't usually play them at home. The small box games of Ticket to Ride I usually take with me on trips. Why? Because I can take 2 or 3 of these on a trip opposed to one big box of Ticket to Ride. And then I have a couple different maps and I have a couple different options to play. I'm not playing that same game over and over and over again. All right, I kind of like to mix it up a whole lot. The other thing about these is if I'm on a trip, say I'm in a hotel room or, an airplane, which this would be a little hard on an airplane, but but for the most part, like hotels, or I'm in a camp, or I'm up camping in the mountains or something like that, this is going to fit on those smaller tables. It's a smaller board. Now, Berlin's a little different. Berlin's got this nice, long, rectangular board. And that's the thing I love about this version. It's not square, okay, so it's not easy to get around. It's narrow and long, so you really got to take advantage of those subways. If you want to get from one side of the board to the other side of the board, you really got to get those subways going. It really is going to help. And, you may not necessarily be able to weave your way across Berlin to get where you're going. All right. So you've got to pay attention to that. But as far as the small box games go, I think Berlin is probably my favorite. I do have San Francisco and I enjoy San Francisco. That one's a lot of fun because it has the tourist tokens and I like playing with those. But I really like the subways in this, and I tell you, I just really like that long rectangular map. To me, that's the coolest thing about this. All right. Now, the big box games of Ticket to Ride, I like those. I think I like those a little bit better because they're a little more, they're more open. They're not quite as cutthroat. You're not necessarily, taking away spaces from people as much. Not quite as mean. These can be a little more mean, but they're a longer game. These ones are a shorter game. Ticket to Ride is one of those games. I enjoy it. I'll play it when somebody wants to play it, but I enjoy the shorter game of Ticket to Ride than the longer game of Ticket to Ride. But it's fun. That being said, would I recommend this game? I would. Is this game for everybody? Not really. Some people aren't going to like the shorter game. Some people are going to like it where it's 15 minutes per player, so you're done in 45 minutes. Some people are going to want that longer game. But if you're looking for a shorter game length version of Ticket to Ride, all right, but you want something a little bit different. You want that tighter board, that narrower, longer Berlin board, all right, I say this is a good one. I recommend it. Get it. You may not be disappointed. You're probably not going to be. It's a lot of fun. And if you already like Ticket to Ride, you're already going to like this one. So there you go. Get it. Thank you once again for joining me today. As always, I please ask that you like this video on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, on X. Please leave a comment on any of those platforms as well. I'll get to the comments as soon as I can. I greatly appreciate it. We can talk about anything you want. We can talk about this game, base Ticket to Ride, anything else. I'm good with either way. And also, if you like this video, please consider subscribing to my channel and click that like button. It would definitely help me out a lot. And also, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy the videos that I do on this channel, I also do post videos over on The Discriminating Gamer. I'll leave a link in the comments down below or description down below. please head over there. We do a lot of unboxings, and we do a lot more war games and a lot of other different style of games as well. There's a lot of really good content over there. You know, my wife didn't think that I would name our daughter something ridiculous. I called her bluff.